Well, hello there, viewers. Today we have a 2011 GMC Sierra. It's here for a number of problems. It has a fuel smell, and I noticed when I brought it in an extended crank time when it started. So I suspect a rusty fuel line coming out of the fuel pump, or one of the lines along the frame. It also has a message to service StabiliTrak. Hasn't come up yet, but it was on when I drove it in. So we're going to scan it first and see what codes are in the computer before we get into this, and then we're going to lift it up and have a look at the fuel pump area. And like I said, I suspect a rusty outlet line on the fuel pump. So do you think there's a leak? Well, if that's the fuel pump again on another one of these trucks, I can't believe a GM hasn't been sued over this yet. So we're going to do a network scan on this vehicle. I worked on this before, so I've got a history on it. I haven't worked on it recently. It's probably been a year since I did something to this. Let's see, I'll put the mileage in after. Let's do a network code scan and see why the service StabiliTrak and ABS messages were coming up. Brake switch, steering angle sensor. Oh, that's common. Centering error. Oh, I haven't done one of those for a while. I think you got to drop the steering column to change that. And they're still scanning. Still 9 controllers so far. .11 controllers. But that's why the service StabiliTrak and ABS messages are coming up. There's a problem with steering angle sensor. I think there's a bulletin on that actually. So it scanned 16 computers, and that's basically it for codes. Alright, so it probably needs a steering angle sensor, and we're going to lift it up and have a look at this fuel leak. So you see the gas running down the gas tank from the heat shield, or the gas tank shield here. It's wet up there. The other place they used to leak was from that particular line, but you can see that because this is flex fuel, it's stainless steel. So guaranteed that line will never fail. The other line below it is just a vent line. That's a secondary minor issue. If it leaks, you'll have an evap code. But there are no evap codes. Now this thing may need straps. I've got them. It likely need a lock ring. I have that. I picked it up on the hoist by the rear shackle here, so that leaves access to these bolts here for the heat shield. Well, let's drop the tank. It's got just under a quarter tank of fuel in it. What do you think of these strap bolts? Do you think they're going to come out? You can spray up in that top corner on the one nut, but the other one is in the above the frame up here. Can't see it. Oh well. Well, the bolts came out of the straps, believe it or not. As rusty as they were. So this is the pipe that's compromised right here. Like I said, they made this out of mild steel. There, that line is broken right there. Now that's the main feed line. Wow. I'll probably spend more time taking that piece of fitting out of this line. I have yet to find an economical source for this line. They should sell this line. Dorman, you need to make this line available. Actually, this lock ring doesn't look too bad. We'll get these wiring harnesses disconnected and get this out from underneath the truck. Well, I managed to get the vent line off, but the other evap line I can't get out of there. It just crumbled. You can see the fuel the fuel supply line just fell off. Yeah, like I said, this should be a class action lawsuit against GM for this. So I use a spiral easy out penetrating fluid, spin it with a brushless drill here, and lots of times this plastic piece will come out with the tube, so you have to get this plastic piece off of this line and put it back in there. Now this is just a vent line, but it's important it doesn't leak, otherwise it'll fail an evap test afterwards. So there's a little plastic sleeve off of the fitting, and there's a little yellow O-ring in there. Can't see it. And this needs to go back in and be pressed in there with a small socket. Don't drop it on the floor. So there, it's reinstalled in there. You can see the yellow O-ring down on the bottom. Now, like I said, that's just a vent line. Now we got to repeat the same procedure on the fuel supply line. So there's the quick connect fitting in all of its glory. The key word is connect, not disconnect. So we have to get that piece out of there. Now, I do have a spare one of these clips if I end up mangling that clip, because I end up doing that sometimes, frying this clip. But I saved one of these lines off of something the other day. I can't remember what it was, but it had this metal clip in here. Man, that's full of rust. Oh well, if I can get it spinning in there, that'll be good. So I did have to sacrifice this retainer. There's a spacer, and you can see that this has got to be cleaned up, but this goes in on top of that yellow O-ring seal. I don't think there's another one in here. Wow. Doesn't look like it. Oh well, good thing I have one of those clips. So that's what it's supposed to look like in there. So that metal clip I destroyed to get it apart. There's the original line. I got the seal back in. Now this came off of a Dodge Ram used engine, and I saved it because I knew it would come in handy. So I'm going to take this clip out of here and put it in this Chevy truck. Too bad you can't buy this part. Anyways, I salvaged it out of this one. I might take the O-ring out of there because this was a brand new engine that they came from the salvage yard and they just cut the lines. So there we go. All that's left now is to change the fuel pump. So I prefer the Delphi brand fuel pumps. Delphi Technologies. They're a few dollars more than the Spectre fuel pumps, but they're stainless steel, the way it should have been designed in the first place. This is the pump this one calls for. Yours might be different depending on the wheelbase and the tank size. Comes with a new sending unit. Some of the GM pumps don't come with the sending unit. So this one's already got it. We have to put that on. Like I said, it's stainless steel, so this problem will not occur again. This is the way it should have been done in the first place. So there's the pump reinstalled, the lines reinstalled. The only different thing I notice about this Delphi pump is this line is about 1.5 inches longer than the other one, so it interferes with this vent hose, but there's lots of room above the tank, so it doesn't really hurt it. Dielectric grease on the hose clips and dielectric grease on the seals. Make sure the seals are in there. Sometimes that plastic insert inside the connector will stay inside the old pressure sensor or the inside the body of the old fuel pump. And I've also seen where the gasoline causes the seals to swell up, so you have difficulty plugging them in. I've taken them apart where somebody's left the seals out, and then that causes the salt to get in there and compromise the terminals. So we're ready to put this tank back in, and yeah, that's it. So it's back together and running. No leaks. I usually do a purge and seal test just to see if the system is working okay. Fuel level is high enough, so we should be able to run it. This will put a vacuum on the tank and see if it holds vacuum. That will check the integrity of the evap system now. So fuel tank pressure in inches of water, and so as soon as we command a vacuum on the tank, the purge solenoid pulls the vacuum. If you let it go too far, the system will abort. So I let it go about 5, and then I hit the seal, and it should hold that vacuum. If this vacuum were leaking off now, then it would fail the test. Now this thing's got less than a quarter tank of gas in it, so responding. I'll show you what happens if I open the gas cap. So now I've got it purposely created a leak. I'll command the purge on again. You can see it's building vacuum, but not nearly as fast as it did before. I left the gas cap loose on purpose, and now when I click seal, you can see that the vacuum leaks off right away. Close the gas cap up again. And command it on again. 20% builds up a vacuum pretty quick. I think if you go around 8 or 9 inches of water, which is not very much, it'll abort because of too low a pressure in the tank. Just about stalls the engine when you do that. So I'm going to say this is working fine. I just like to do that as a follow-up after having the tank down, as well as making sure the fuel gauge is reading properly. Fuel level sender, fuel tank 25%. There you go. So we're good to go. Thanks for watching.